What's up, nerds? Welcome back to my channel, guys. I think you can back up like a little. Perfect. As you guys saw by the title, today we are doing my reading wrap up for the month of February. I am so excited. I'm so excited because it was a success. We'll talk. First, if you guys like reading wrap ups, if you guys like talking about books, if you guys like all the nerdy things, then definitely give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Without further ado, let's just get started. So I will say, all of the books on my February TBR are no longer on my TBR cart. So I would call it 100% a success. I completed all the, well, I don't want to say I completed all the books on my TBR because we'll talk about it first. So I did actually end up DNFing The Striker by Anna Huang. Honestly, I'm just seeing more and more opinions too after I decided to DNF this. Reasons why I should not read it. So honestly, it's fine. I just think life's way too short to be reading books that you don't want to read. There's no point in forcing myself to read this. I don't get anything out of it, especially because the chances of me not liking it are very high. I got it as obviously I got the physical copy. I got it on Kindle Unlimited, and then I also got it as an audiobook, and I still could not force myself to keep reading this. So that means it's DNF time. And I feel like that's better than me reading it and then giving it a bad review, you know, at the end, knowing that I probably wasn't gonna like it from the beginning. So I feel like that's better anyway. So this is one of the books that was on my TBR last month, but she won't be going back on the TBR cart. She's going out of my collection. I'm unhauling this book. And so I still felt like that was still a success in a way because it's not going on my TBR cart. It's getting off my TBR cart. Does that make sense? We're still counting it as complete, if you will. Which is literally the point of TBRs, is that I'm getting the books off my TBR cart. I should say that's the point of TBRs for me, because I know some people like to do Kindle books on their TBRs, but for me, I always do physical copies because I want to get the physical copies off my TBR cart so I can buy more books, you know? So again, counting it as a success. But let's start from the beginning. First book I finished this month was actually an ARC from NetGalley. I'm so excited. So I ended up getting It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. This wasn't a reading vlog. A lot of these are in reading vlogs per usual. But I enjoyed this book. I ended up going with 4.5 stars. I did have to write a little review on it. So I'll tell you. I said this book was overall super heartfelt and so cute. I felt like I knew the characters and could feel or wanted to feel some of the emotions they were talking about. It really tugged at my heartstrings because it could absolutely relate to Jane for the most part. In the beginning, Jane is super quirky and most of the plot is based off a silly lie. But other than that, I have no complaints. The characters end up in a small town and I'm obsessed with that setting. It was fun and Dan's family is honestly the best. I would definitely add this to your summer TBR if you haven't already. There are cute beach moments, the Notebook references, and 1,000 out of 10 spoon-worthy lines. Like, what else do we need? Annabelle Monaghan's writing is incredible and this was no different. Looking forward to a new book soon, maybe featuring some characters we meet in It's a Love Story. I ended up going with a 4.5 star. I really did enjoy this book. I thought it was fun. I think it's going to be a perfect like summer read. I think the thing with this one was that I think this book doesn't come out till May, and I think that the book takes place in like August, so it's like on the verge of potentially like not fall, but you know that weather where it's like some days it's super hot, other days it's not. That's what I think the vibe was, but either way I still think it's super fun, wow. Fun, corny, cheesy romance. It was super cute, and that was the reason why I did give it 4.5 stars and not 5 stars, was because the whole book was based on the dumbest lie, and I was like, guys, we're adults, this is weird, but ended up being super cute. So that one I was so excited I got to read early and so I could give you guys my opinion. Then we read Kingmakers Year 2 by Sophie Lark, again all in a reading vlog, in a different reading vlog, but still in a reading vlog. And I really enjoyed this book as well. I have all the covers that have this, and have the sprayed edges, and as much as I'm like not a sprayed edge girly, I love this so much for me. But I also ended up going with 4.5 stars for this book. I thought it was good. I thought there was a lot of There are a lot of great moments, a lot of great characters. I think for this book, it was just that there are 3 different point of views, and the one point of view that's the best part of this whole book is not even one of the main characters. She's a main character, but she's not even in the main couple, you know? So it's kind of like, okay. I also felt like Kat, I think is her name. No, this one is Zoe. Zoe is just kind of like there, and she's the main character, like she's the main girl, so that was kind of like to me, but again, still 4.5 stars. That was a minor thing, you know, compared to this book. I love this setting, I love this world, and I want 80,000. I wish she just kept coming out with like the kids, because there's so many grandkids, but there's only 5 books, and I'm like, can you just keep coming out with like books for the kids? That would be great, because if you don't know, it's like a dark it's like a dark romance, but it's at like a mafia school, and so they learn how to like run a mafia, basically. There's different like sections, like there's like the, what is the word, like the spy, is it spies? Yeah, I think there's like the spies, there's like the enforcers, there's the heirs. Like, it's so cool. If you have not read that, I don't know what you're doing. Yeah, then I read Where the Library Hides by Isabel Ibáñez. I loved this book so much. I ended up going with 4.75, and if you guys didn't see this in this reading vlog, I was really torn with this one, just because I really loved it. It didn't give me that 5-star, but I felt like there was nothing to complain about. So I was like, it's really like this shy of a 5-star, and so I ended up going with 4.75 stars. But I definitely think and recommend you guys read this duology. It is so good. It's so fun. It's giving like female Indiana Jones a little bit. There's romance, and it's so juicy. You're like, what? And it just ends up being so good. I just loved the way everything flowed. There are plot twists and fun moments. There are things you kind of see coming, but other than that, there's still so many fun things. So I definitely recommend this book if you have not read it. Sorry, I'm not the best at like explaining what books are about, but I honestly like to go into books blind, so that's why I don't like to tell too much, except for like what I felt like my feelings toward the books, versus like actual events that happen. So it's like, if you want to know the events, I'm sure you could read the back of the book and figure it out, but also just read it blind. That's 90%, that's 95% of my advice to everyone. Just read it blind. Then I read Wrecked by Lauren Asher. This is book 3 in the Dirty Air series. This one disappointed me just a smidge. I ended up going with 3.75, which is not a bad rating. It's a pretty good rating. I just was expecting this to be like a 5-star, world-changing kind of book, and it was not. It was just a little bit shy of a 5-star. Not even a little bit. It was shy of a 5-star. But I just think this book has so much potential. I just think it needed a little bit of fine-tuning, and I could definitely see how people love this book, because again, it has a lot of potential. There's a lot of great things in it. For me, the execution wasn't all there. There was like things like in my heart, I was just kind of like put off a little bit at certain things, and just, I don't know, it didn't pull together at the end, and that's what the real disappointment was. But I did enjoy Jax. I mean, Anna Elena was great too, and so you know, it's read at your own risk, to be honest. Like, if you're reading this series, then, you know, read the series. Like, you can't, it's definitely not a bad book. Like, if I gave it, like, under 3 stars, then I would say, okay, maybe second guess reading the series, but it's still 3.75. I would still read it. And then in the same reading vlog, I ended up reading Kingmakers by Sophie Lark Year 3. And I loved this book so freaking much. I ate it up. It was so good. A 5-star. I had to give it 5 stars. I was like, what? This is giving Draco and Hermione. Yeah, that's all I need to say. It's so good. So good. This one's not going to be for everyone. Like, even, like, this series is more of a dark romance series, for sure. But this one may reach levels that not everyone is about. So I would definitely read the content warnings, because she always puts them in the beginning if you're going to read this book. I loved it, but not everyone will, okay? Not everyone will. So in this one, it's actually, I'll tell you just a little bit, that the main guy is blackmailing homegirl. And so if you don't like that, you might not like this. But I love this, and I love this cover too. And then I continued with my Sophie Lark train. I read 3 Sophie Lark books this month. But now I'm like, what do I do now? I obviously have to finish the Kingmakers, but after that, I gotta just wait patiently. But I ended up going with 4.25 stars for this book. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was gonna enjoy. I'm not gonna lie. This one's a little bit spooky, a little bit scary. Definitely more. I would read it in like October or something. Here's the thing though, I don't like scary books. This is not a scary book. It's more of like a suspense, like what's gonna happen, oh my gosh. Like, oh, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to even say creepy. Because the main guy, I mean, I guess he is a creep, but he's a little bit deranged. But it's still, like, not scary in a way. You kind of know everything is under control in a way, but it just ends up being so good. So this girl comes from another country. She ends up, like, meeting this guy in her country, and he's, like, lives in America, and he's like, well, let's get married. And she's like, okay, I've always wanted to go to America. Wow. She picked the wrong guy. She done did. This guy is crazy and genuinely psycho. So, read at your own risk. Again, there is a list of content warnings as well, but I would read it, because again, I don't like scary. Even if you don't like scary, it's like romance, because it is romance heavy with her and one of the other people. It's romance, it's romance first, but I would feel like with the subplot of like suspense. Maybe it's like equally romance and suspense, I don't know. Depends, I don't know what you think, but that was so good. And then we had some surprising reads. So I did start another reading vlog where I read books that I was scared to read, literally so terrified to read. And you guys, I don't know, this reading vlog ended up going better than my other reading vlog where I was trying to find a 5-star. So I was like, what's happening here? What's happening? First we started off with Red Queen. Is this right? Yeah. Red Queen by Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I don't know what order we read them in. It doesn't matter that much. But Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Oh, sorry. No, we started off with Monarch. This was in that reading vlog. That's why I was so confused. Monarch was in this reading vlog. Sorry. But then we read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and this surprised me. So not only did I give that one 4.25, but then I gave this one 4.5 stars, and I'm like, wait. Incredible. I was so scared about this book just because it's YA, but it ended up being so good. It is more of like your basic, simple kind of fantasy, which I've heard is why people complain about it, but that's kind of why I liked it, because I don't need like this whole world built. Of course I love that. Of course I love Throne of Glass, but I do think sometimes I just want to read like a simple fantasy that's gonna like hook me, and then you're like the romance, you're like this one is like non-existent. It's very minute, and so it's like it gets right under your skin and you just love it. That's what I loved about this book so much. And I'm excited to read the next ones. Yeah, very excited. I did listen to that one on Audible too, if you on the Libby app if you want that one. Okay, I don't know what order I actually read them in, but then I also read Lights Out by Nevesta Allen. This book, you guys, it's so interesting. Here's the thing, like, I like this book. I ended up going with 4 stars. Will I read the second one? No. No, unless my friend, like, again, my friend, she bought me this one. If she buys me the second one, then I would feel obligated to read it, but unless she buys it for me or someone buys it for me, I will not be reading this, just because it was like, I don't know, it's like a one-time thing. I think I had said this, and I said this when I was reviewing it in that video, but now that I thought about it, I was thinking it was going to be more of like a dark romance in the sense of like, you know, like a Emily McIntyre book, or even like a Sophie Lark book. The premise is more like dark, if you will, like it's considered more of a dark romance. This one, I don't know if I would, it's a genre in and of itself that it didn't click in my head. This is stalker romance, so it's not necessarily dark, which it is a little bit. Obviously it's dark and twisted, but the setting is, and the whole thing is not dark, if that makes sense. It's more of like a regular romance, like a more contemporary romance with like the stalker elements. Does that make sense? It's so bizarre to explain. So I felt like that the unhinged parts, I said this too, the unhinged parts are a little bit like, they make no sense to me because the normal parts are so normal. Like, he makes her breakfast. I don't know, so like, and then he I don't know, it just, then you get to the other parts and you're like, what is happening? So I don't know, but I ended up going with 4 stars. I did think it was enjoyable. It was a fun time, and I mean, I feel like buddy reading a book also does kind of sway my opinion sometimes, because when you read it with friends, it makes it that much more fun because you're not going through it alone. So I don't know, I really genuinely don't know. I would say proceed with caution. Genuinely, I have no advice whether I recommend this or not. I'm just not going to say anything. Okay, then I didn't read this in the vlog because this was our buddy read, but I ended up having some time between books, and this is Sarah Adams' The Off Limits Rule. I'll tell you here just in case I forget for our coffee chats, because I don't know, in my brain I just keep forgetting that I need to talk about this separately. But this is the Off Limits Rule by Sarah Adams. This is his own little series, but I freaking loved it. I didn't know that this was, so she's a single mom basically, but it's also brother's best friend. Yeah, it was cute, it was fun, everything was so perfect. The main girl's a little quirky, but like it's not a weird or like an uncomfortable, it's not a secondhand embarrassment quirky, which I appreciate, because some of Sarah Adams could write some quirky characters, but she was not that. She was, well, a little bit, but not in a cringy way. It was fun, and then you get to meet the little boy, and he was so cute, and just like the everything was so cute. It is obviously an off limits rule because the brother tells him, like, don't mess with my sister, like, don't do it. And so he's like, okay, I'll what's the word? I'll what the freak? I'll follow the off limits rule, basically, he says, and then the girl's like, so it just ends up being chaos, but it's so fun. It's a very short, quick paced book. It could be a cute palette cleanser if you're reading like a lot of fantasy, or if you just want something super cute, super fun. It is so much fun, and I'm so excited for book 2. Honestly, we meet the characters. Actually, the characters for book 2 is her brother, who gives them the off limits rule, and then we meet her best friend in this one. So I'm so excited about that one, literally so excited, but like I'm also nervous because I was not expecting to love this one as much. I'm like, if this one's a 5-star, I mean, there's a good chance that the book 2 could be a 5-star, but there's a good chance that it could not. So I don't know, we'll see, but I loved that book so much. So then I ended up reading The Gilded Cage by Lynette Noni. I ended up reading this in the same vlog as the books I'm scared to read vlog. And I was so nervous about this just because the way The Prison Healer ends. If you've read The Prison Healer, I feel like, I don't know if I was the only one who was like truly in shock, but it made this book so hard to read because I was like, I know the battle she had to go through. I knew what was gonna come because of that ending, and so that's what like gave me pause. Is like, I'm gonna just be stressed the whole time. Sure enough, I was stressed most of the time. But I ended up going with 4.5 stars. I ended up, the stress was worth it. It was so enjoyable. I was hooked. I was like, what's happening? I need to know. The reason why I didn't give it 5 stars was just because Kiva is her name, yeah, she just kind of annoyed me like a little bit in this one. She was really just a little bit too oblivious for my liking, a little bit too oblivious, and I'm like, I know some people are not all there, but I'm like, this is no. The girl from book 1 is not this same girl. This girl is a little bit too La La Landish, and I was like, she could have been a little bit more up to speed. Like, she was really like just very naive, didn't see anything coming, and I'm like, girl, I saw that coming from jump. Like, I could have told you that in book 1 that this was gonna happen, you know what I mean? So that was the only thing, the only gripe, and that's my hard thing with YA. But even still, I still really enjoyed this book, and I loved it so much that I ended up reading The Blood Trader right after, so that means I loved it. But you can see, like, this book was on my TBR cart for mad long. You can see the wear and tear, and then this is a fresh book. That is hilarious. But I went straight into this, and I was like, what? How is Lynette Noni gonna do all this in one thing? So basically, we get to this one, and they have to start collecting stuff, and they end up going like from town to town or whatever it is. They have to like travel, and they're trying to do one thing they're trying to fight one guy, and then they're trying to fight someone else. And I'm like, Lynette Noni, you said a lot on your plate. How are you gonna do this? And I feel like she just did it so freaking well. This also will be in a reading vlog, but it won't be for a couple weeks or so. So I'll just tell you now that I was obsessed. I think she wrote it perfectly. Our main girl, Kiva, she needs to grovel a little bit, and that's okay. And that's okay. And I feel like she does. And she does it so well. And everything that was written so perfectly. All the characters were incredible. Like, even like the characters you do not expect. They come and you're like, what? Why are you incredible? Like, surprises left and right. It is just all around so good. And I truly have a love for this series that I did not think I was capable of, because y'all know how much I love Caraval. And I think it's called The Gilded City by like Leah Stone. Like, I have my top kahunas, Belladonna, Top Kahunas. This one I was like, oh, she's with the greats, so she goes up there. So I'm gonna try to get her on her shelf of her own, because not on her own, but with the greats up there. Because I just love this series so much, and that was so surprising. So I ended up going with 4.5 and then 5 stars. And like after I finished the Prison Healer, I did not think that I would love the series this much. I literally think about that series all the time. Like I'll wake up and I just like, I want to check on my friends. But I couldn't because their books were over, and I'm like, if Lynette Nundy does not come out with some sort of novella or extended something, I will cry. I will be so mad. She did say on her Instagram that she just got out of a meeting, something to do with the Prison Healer, and she said it's not movie or TV show related. So I'm like, what is it? What is it? I don't know. Because there are some characters that we want to know. We want to get the juicy tea. We want to get the juicy tea. So if you give me some novellas, yeah, thank you. All right. I feel like I was gonna say something else about that series, but it's fine. Then we finished off with Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. I don't know how to say it, but I did also get this as an advanced reader copy. I'm so excited, from NetGalley, and can you freaking believe it? So I was very surprised that I finished this before March, because they ended up sending it to me within the last 2 weeks of February, and I was like, oh no. I had to read so many books for my TBR, and it was chaos, and I was like, oh no, but I ended up having time for it, and I'm so excited that I did, because I will read you my review. I will. I will. This one's also in a reading vlog, but I'm just gonna read you my review. I said, I was completely and utterly destroyed, but somehow put back together at the same exact time. I didn't know I could feel this emotion from a book. The characters are incredible, the story is a masterpiece, but the emotion, I feel it in every part of me. Like, I cried and laughed, and I grieved. I felt like they were my friends. Better yet, a part of me felt like I was Lou watching my best friend learn to live again. Why am I sobbing again? No, truly, this book is exceptional. It is definitely a slow burn, but at the same time, the story isn't even really about the romance. The romance is great at the end, of course, but it's the rest that makes the story incredible. 10 out of 10 recommend. It may hurt for a bit, but I promise, well, you know the title. It was just like, I was like, whoa, okay. This is literally how I felt though when I finished this book. I was like, so like, oh my gosh, like I wanted more, I want more. Like I want to be able to call Lenny and be like, hey girl, how you doing? Like, you okay? And checking up on them, because it was just so good. You feel so attached to these characters. If you don't know, our main character is grieving the loss of her best friend, and that's how the book starts off. You know, I think it was at least 6 months prior, but still, like, she's still in this grieving period. She's not doing well. She's not doing well, sweetie. So then she's nannying for a woman, single mom, and the uncle is kind of around, but he's not like, he's a little bit of a mess too. So they kind of make a bargain, the main girl and the uncle, that he will help her, like, kind of through her grief if she helps him be a better uncle. And so it was just super cute. Of course, you can see where that goes, but I think that what I said was true. Like, it's not about the romance, because the romance is like the last maybe like 20%, and even then it's very minute. Like, it's not a lot. A lot of it is just this character literally learning to live again, and I loved it. I could cry just thinking about it. This book was beautifully written, and I was not expecting it. I'm not gonna lie, at first, when I first started reading, honestly, I got halfway and I was like, this is so slow, it's so boring. But then, even just like a chapter or two after halfway, I was like addicted. I was like, I could not stop reading, and I was like, wait, no, this was all part of Cara Bastone's plan. She wanted us to be caught off guard so that when she hit us with the emotion, we were like, what? I loved it so much. 10 out of 10 recommend. My only gripe with this book, and I still gave it 5 stars, 6 stars even, I would go as far as to say 6 stars, you know? The only gripe I would say is that this book is coming out in March, but it takes place in August through fall. So there's a lot of fall references, then fall in New York. So she starts off in August, and then it goes 3 months after that. So, like, it'll go, like, whatever. it ends up being 3 months because she mentions like knowing him for like 3 months or something like that, or they met 3 months ago or something like that, and that would have been August when they first met. So it goes literally through fall stuff. So I'm like, why is it being released right now? I'm not so sure, because I feel like this would be a perfect fall book, like in a sense, like you get cozy with like a blanket, just get cozy and cry. Genuinely, that's how I feel. So I don't know why it's coming out now, but still so worth it. So loved that. So I ended up reading 12 books this month, which is crazy. I love that. I think that's such a sweet spot. Like 10 to 12 is just such a good month for me, because I feel like I remember a lot of these books, a lot of the things that happened, and like the characters and stuff. I remember my feelings toward them. But I also feel like that's a good enough number that I'm not only reading like a couple books, you know, like I'm still moving books off my TBR cart and remembering the information. It's like the perfect combo, because I feel like sometimes too much is too much, you know? So I think that's the perfect like little sweet spot. I did complete 7 out of the 8 books on my TBR last month, but I also DNF'd the other one. So it was a success, a very successful month. I already know I'm going to finish my March TBR, I'm not going to lie, because I already started 2 of the books already. I'm already halfway with one book and started a good chunk of the way the other book, and I'm filming this and it's not even March yet. I was excited. So I think it's gonna be a good month, and then after that we can do whatever we want. The pressure is on though for this one, so I'm very excited. That's January and February. We did incredible. We completed our January and February TBRs, and we read 2 anticipated releases. Like a great month. So let me know what you read this month. I don't know why I feel like I'm talking so fast, and I'm so sorry about it. Like, I'm so sorry that I'm noticing now here at the end, but it is what it is. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, nerds.